The Office of National Statistics last stated that in 2017, 3,756 deaths in England and Wales occurred due to drug poisoning, and it was reported that in 2016, on average every 5 hours someone died after using heroin or morphine. I spoke to Daniel Pryor, Head of Programmes at the Adam Smith Institute, where a crucial report was recently published analysing the evidence surrounding the need for drug consumption rooms in the UK. Daniel told me more about the UK-based think tank organisation and the work they do.
We are a neoliberal think tank, we like to call ourselves, and we aim to change government policy in the short term through research, media, education and events, and we try and change public opinion in the long term by doing those same things. And our main activities are publishing research reports and trying to get them in the hands of people who can influence government policy, whether that's politicians, regulators, or in many cases journalists as well. We try to get a lot of media coverage for reports, and we have a very large media presence in general, but we also have education programs where we go into schools and universities to teach them about the principles of economics, free markets and social liberalism as well. And in terms of kind of stance, we very much of the view that free markets and individual liberty are extremely important for ensuring that we have a richer, freer and better world more generally.
Drug consumption rooms, otherwise known as DCRs, are a relatively new concept in the UK, and they are currently non-existing here either. For those who don't know, Daniel told me everything about a drug consumption room and how they work.
It's an evidence-based harm reduction intervention that basically allows people who use illicit drugs like heroin, or in some cases powdered drugs like cocaine, to do so within a medically supervised environment in a way that they are not vulnerable to prosecution under existing drug laws.
Although drug consumption rooms have not yet been implemented in the UK, they have been successful in European countries such as Denmark and France.
So there are some around the world in Europe, in places like Denmark and France. There are several, as well as Switzerland and many other places in Europe. There's also some in Australia and Canada as well. But the issue that we have, at least from my perspective, in the UK is that drug consumption rooms currently sit in this legal grey zone whereby the Home Office has said that they are not allowed to be set up and that people doing that would be prosecuted under the Misuse of Drugs Act. But the Home Office has changed its stance on things like festival drug testing, which basically they said that they won't prosecute even though it still technically remains illegal. So the two kind of paths to change this, there's two very distinct paths. One is the Home Office coming out and saying, like they did with festival drug testing, that they simply wouldn't prosecute, and this was a matter for local authorities. So police and crime commissioners, for example, many of whom have said that they would be willing to have a DCR in their area, would be able to liaise with health authorities, local NHS trusts and non-profits as well to do that. So that's one way in which the law could be changed. The other one, and that's something that's currently going through Parliament, there's a private member's bill on its second reading. I think Alison Thulis MP, the SNP MP, is the one sponsoring it, and she's basically trying through this private member's bill to set up a legal framework and create a proper legal exemption to the Misuse of Drugs Act in order to allow drug consumption rooms. And in terms of what that's trying to do, it's trying to create a set of legal principles that make it very clear what you can and can't do in a system where we had legal drug consumption rooms.
The substance with the largest number of associated deaths in the UK is heroin. But how effective would drug consumption rooms be for drug users in the UK? And what are the requirements needed to access such a facility?
So it really does depend on the specific area or the specific country in which they're done. Lots of countries have different approaches, but the vast majority restrict it to adult use only. In fact, I'm pretty sure, although I'm not entirely sure, but I think that's every single DCR has adult use only to be admitted. Other than that, there's very basic things about not having any sort of disorderly conduct. But in general, the target audience of these drug consumption rooms is current drug users who are otherwise extremely hard to reach with more traditional drug harms recovery services. So it tends to be people that are marginalised, like the homeless, or people who are struggling with mental choosing, whereas this kind of provides facility where people can know that they have a legal place in order to safely inject or take these drugs, but also to have access to recovery services, which is one of the benefits of DCRs.
The target audience of drug consumption rooms are primarily adults. However, will this mean younger drug users will slip through the net? Here's what Daniel said when I asked him about the possibility of young people having access to drug consumption rooms.
It's a question it's very difficult because obviously young people are extremely affected by the same sort of drug harms that DCRs tend to target the adult population. In terms of in theory whether that's something that should be done, I think that there's a very good case to be made for it. I think the issue is that the political realities mean that just isn't likely to be an option. It may be for kind of older teenagers, perhaps. There could be a kind of a more popular political case made for that, but I think it's unlikely that you're going to be able to get a situation whereby young people and children who are struggling with drug addiction would be able to use them. Although I think that ultimately the same sort of argument applies when it comes to children.
As well as reducing harm, drug consumption rooms have also been implemented to reduce crime and drug litter. Drug consumption rooms in other jurisdictions has been shown to reduce health burdens, public injections, and syringe litter.
So there's a couple of reasons why we might expect crime to fall, and one of them is that by introducing more drug users to recovery services through DCRs, you're likely to make a dent in the overall size of the drug market through lowering demand as people are able to battle whatever addictions or issues that they're struggling with. So that's one way in which it might reduce crime. Now, the Home Office has looked into the idea that these would be a kind of honeypot for crime and you get dealers congregating around drug consumption rooms. And they've basically found that this is not supported by the available research into drug consumption rooms internationally speaking. So the concerns that they will increase drug use or attract substance users to an area more broadly or increase local crime just isn't supported